You either take off those earrings and act like a man, or pack your things and go. That sentence marked the end of childhood for Mikey Carter. The earrings weren't flashy, just small silver hoops he bought online via memo and saving up from editing videos for classmates. But to his father, they were a declaration of war, a betrayal, proof that his only son was becoming everything he feared. Mikey didn't argue. He didn't cry. He just stood there in the kitchen, still wearing his oversized hoodie, fingers trembling in his pockets, wondering if his heart would stop pounding before his father's voice came crashing down again. But the silence after that sentence was louder than anything. It was the kind of silence that follows an earthquake after the buildings fall, but before you can even check who's still alive. Mikey Carter was 17, a quiet, bright boy with pale skin, soft brown curls, and a love for stories that no one in his world understood. He lived in the suburban sprawl of Middlefield, a place where front yards were trimmed, mailboxes were shiny, and no one ever talked about boys who loved boys. His father, a former military sergeant, kept the house like a base rules sharp, voices louder, and feelings forbidden. Their dinner table was a place of discipline, not conversation. Their living room a shrine to medals and framed memories, none of which included Mikey's mother, who had walked out when he was 8. Mikey didn't talk about her. He didn't talk about much at all. At school, he blended in like a background actor, shirt tucked, homework perfect, eyes lowered. No one ever suspected the truth, not about the YouTube channel he ran anonymously late at night, or the poetry journal hidden under his bed, or the quiet ache he carried every day like a secret he couldn't put down. When the other boys joked about girls, he laughed along, playing his part like a script he'd memorized years ago. But there was one person who saw through it. Kevin, friendly, talkative, always kind. Kevin was the kind of boy who waved at the janitor and sat with the kid who had no lunch. They were paired in lab class once, and something clicked. Kevin asked if Mikey liked writing. Mikey said maybe. Kevin said he should show someone someday. Mikey didn't. But that night he wrote his first letter. To himself, then to Kevin, then to a version of the world where he was safe, a version where he wasn't scared of being known. Eventually, he told Kevin the truth, that he was gay, that he had always been, that he didn't even know how to say it out loud, so he just wrote it instead. Kevin didn't flinch, didn't laugh. He just smiled, touched Mikey's arm, and said, "Thank you for trusting me." It was the first time Mikey didn't feel like he was faking anything. But safety, he'd learn, is fragile. A few days later, Mikey was cleaning his room. He'd written a new note to Kevin, something funny, something simple, from your secret gay writer, and left it inside a book they both passed back and forth for class. Somehow, the note fell. He didn't notice. He left for school. His father found it. When Mikey came home, the energy in the house was different. It wasn't just cold, it was sharp, cutting into every corner. The note was lying on the dining table. Next to it, a black duffel bag, half zipped. His father was waiting in the kitchen, hands clenched, face unreadable. That was when he said it. You either take off those earrings and act like a man, or pack your things and go. And for a second, Mikey thought maybe, just maybe he'd take them off. Maybe he'd lie, say it was a joke, say he was just trying to look edgy, that he wasn't really gay, that Kevin was just a classmate, that it didn't mean anything, but his hands didn't move. His voice didn't lie, his earrings stayed on, and the mask finally cracked. He didn't sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the wall, listening for footsteps that never came. He kept hoping the door would creak open and his father would say something, anything. But silence, just silence. The next morning, he left the house as if heading to school. But he didn't go to school. He went to the park, sat under the same oak tree he used to climb as a kid, watched the leaves fall, thought about writing something, but couldn't. Thought about texting Kevin, but didn't. By evening, he went home. The note was gone. So was the duffel bag. And so was the sound of love. He knew then he'd been seen, but not understood. And that would cost him more than a home. Some homes are made of bricks and doors. Others are built from the feeling that you matter. Mikey lost both that day, but a journey was starting, one that would lead him to the edge of the world and back. Follow Heart Story for more true stories of truth, hope, and healing. Because sometimes the moment we break is the beginning of who we're meant to be. The suitcase hit the floor like a gunshot. Mikey didn't scream when his father yelled. He didn't argue, didn't even blink when the man pointed at the door and called him a disgrace. His chest tightened, but he kept his eyes on the worn tiles beneath his feet, listening to each word crash over him like waves of something cold and final. He thought he might disappear if he just stayed still long enough. "There is no place in this house for a pervert," his father said, voice sharp like glass. "Not under my roof." Mikey stood in the hallway, one hand on the doorknob, the other gripping the strap of that black duffel bag. No one came to stop him. No one called him back. The silence from the walls of the house was louder than the shouting had been. No neighbors peeked out. No headlights slowed as he stepped into the night. The air outside was bitter, and his breath left small clouds behind. His hoodie, too thin for this kind of cold, clung to his back like paper. He had no plan, no money, just a backpack, a few changes of clothes, and the weight of being unwanted. Kevin was the only person he could think of. He called once, no answer. He called again, then again. On the fourth ring, Kevin picked up. Mikey didn't speak at first, just the sound of his breath, shallow and uneven. Kevin didn't need words. He said, "Where are you?" And Mikey gave the nearest street sign. Kevin showed up 15 minutes later, his uncle in the driver's seat. The man didn't ask questions. He unlocked the passenger door, handed Mikey a blanket, and said, "You can stay with us for as long as you need." Kevin tried to act normal. He offered snacks, showed Mikey where the spare towels were, and talked about random things, homework, funny TikToks, the dog next door who barked at shadows. But Mikey barely responded. He spent most of the next day curled under the blanket on the couch, eyes open, staring at nothing. At night, he lay stiff on the pull-out bed, listening to the hum of the fridge and the quiet breathing from Kevin's room. Sleep never came. The days blurred. Kevin offered support in the only way he knew, being present. But Mikey grew quieter. He avoided mirrors, avoided food. He sat with his knees pulled to his chest, scribbling in a notebook and tearing out the pages before anyone could see. Kevin's uncle tried to get him to talk, gently suggesting they could call someone, find help, maybe even a therapist. Mikey nodded, but nothing happened. The memories started creeping back in. He remembered the day his mother left. She had stood at the doorway, a suitcase of her own in hand, telling his father, "You've already turned off every light in this house. I'm not waiting for you to snuff out mine." Mikey had been 8, too young to understand the words, old enough to remember the slammed door. He remembered crying after school once, when a teacher accused him of acting too soft and told him to man up. He remembered holding those words like hot coals, not knowing they would burn for years. He remembered trying to hug his father after winning an essay contest in 6th grade. His father had patted his back once, then said, "Good, but it's not like you cured cancer." He remembered every time someone told him to toughen up, speak deeper, walk straighter, like he was born into the wrong shape and had to bend himself just to survive. And now he was out of shapes to bend into. He started staying up all night, eyes fixed on his phone, searching for terms like how to disappear completely. How long before someone notices? And does it hurt to fall from a roof? He visited anonymous forums, read strangers' last letters. He didn't post, just read. Kevin tried not to panic, but the changes were hard to miss. The notebooks were gone, the bag stayed packed. Mikey's clothes already Few were folded too neatly, as if ready to go. The light in his eyes had dimmed into something that didn't reflect anymore. Then one morning, Kevin knocked on the guest room door. No answer. He opened it. The bed was cold. The window was open. Mikey's shoes were missing. So was the duffel bag. And there, on the desk, sat a torn scrap of paper with no message. Just a single doodle, a small boy, standing at the edge of something. Kevin didn't wait. He ran to his uncle, shaking, pointing at Mikey's old YouTube handle, a channel he hadn't updated in months. A new video had just been uploaded, barely visible under privacy settings. No title, no tags, just a shaky, silent shot of a rooftop. Wind in the mic. The camera turned slightly. A distant figure stood at the edge, arms wrapped around himself, head bowed low. Then, a voice, broken, whispered, "Maybe the world never needed someone like me." The screen cut to black. No timestamp, no location. But Kevin recognized the skyline behind him. He had seen it before, an abandoned parking structure on the other side of town, 10 stories up, slated for demolition. He didn't wait for a plan. When pain grows quietly, it becomes invisible. It takes root not just in the mind, but in the stories someone tells themselves about their worth. And sometimes the only way to reach someone lost in that darkness is to show them that their story still matters, that they still matter, even if they can't see it yet. Kevin didn't stop to put on shoes. The video kept playing in his head, looping like a nightmare he couldn't wake from. Mikey's voice, the wind, the pause after that last sentence, it all echoed like a siren inside his chest. He jumped into his uncle's truck, the keys already in the ignition. "The old parking structure," he said, breathless. "The one near the train yard. I think he's there." His uncle didn't ask questions. The truck roared to life. As they sped through the streets, Kevin refreshed Mikey's YouTube page again and again. No new updates, just that one video. It hadn't been public more than an hour. The building was exactly how Kevin remembered it, half demolished, surrounded by a crumbling fence. A rusty sign that read, "Danger, keep out." They parked just beyond the barrier and sprinted through a hole in the wire mesh. The stairs creaked and groaned as they climbed, dust kicking up in clouds, the cold air growing sharper the higher they went. Kevin's lungs burned by the time they reached the top. And there, silhouetted against the early morning sky, stood Mikey. He was facing the city, arms limp at his sides, wind tugging at his hoodie. His shoes were planted near the edge of the roof, just inches from nothingness. The camera Mikey had used to film was resting on a nearby vent. Forgotten. Kevin wanted to shout, but his throat locked. Every part of him screamed to run forward, to grab Mikey and pull him back, but he didn't. Instead, he forced his voice to work, clear and steady, just loud enough. "If you jump, I jump too." Mikey didn't turn. The wind swallowed the space between them. Kevin stepped closer. "I mean it," Kevin said. "I'd rather fall than live in a world without you." Still, Mikey stood frozen. Then a voice broke the silence from behind them. "Then I'll go first." It was rough, tired, and shaking. "Because I failed you first." Kevin turned. Mikey's father stood at the stairwell, eyes red, face pale as concrete. His hands were raised empty, trembling. His voice cracked like something unused for years. He looked smaller than Kevin remembered, like the world had finally collapsed onto him. "I should have told you it was okay to be who you are," the man said. "I should have told you I didn't mean what I said. I didn't mean any of it." "Mikey, I was angry. At myself, at the world. Not you." Mikey turned, slowly. His face was blank, lips pressed tight, but tears had carved paths down his cheeks. His eyes flicked from Kevin to his father, as if waiting for one of them to disappear, like a dream that couldn't be real. "I found your USB," the man continued. "The one you left behind. I read it, every word." He took a step forward, carefully, like approaching a deer. You said you thought maybe you were a mistake in my war-torn life. But the truth is, sweet Jersey, you were the only good thing I ever built. Kevin stepped back, giving space. Mikey's knees buckled. He didn't fall, just dropped into a crouch, hands over his face. His body shook, and this time he didn't try to stop it. The roof didn't win. Not today. His father dropped to his knees beside him, didn't say anything, just wrapped his arms around the boy he had pushed away. There were no speeches, no perfect words, just a broken man holding his broken son in the wind, on the edge of a building where love had finally found its way back. When the police arrived minutes later, they didn't need to talk Mikey down. He was already walking toward the stairs, between the man who'd once cast him out and the friend who had refused to let him go. Back at Kevin's house, the silence was different now. Mikey slept that night, deep, still, without nightmares. He didn't pack a bag the next morning. He didn't check for cameras. For the first time in weeks, he woke up and asked for cereal. A week passed. On a quiet Sunday morning, someone knocked on the door. Kevin opened it. Mikey's father stood there, unsure, out of place in a sweater that looked like it had been folded for years. In his hands, held with great care, was a flag, a rainbow flag. "I don't know if I'm doing this right," he said, voice soft, "but I was hoping to hang this outside my house, and maybe you could help me." Kevin stepped aside, eyes wide. Mikey came to the door, frozen. The flag rippled in the morning breeze, as if waiting to be claimed. When we're standing on the edge of fear, of shame, of being forgotten, it doesn't always take a miracle to pull us back. Sometimes it takes a voice, a hand, a truth spoken too late, but spoken nonetheless. In that moment, healing doesn't ask for perfection. It only asks that we begin. The wind was harsh that morning, but Mikey didn't feel it. He only remembered the silence, how it wrapped around him as his father fell to his knees on that rooftop. No anger, no pride, just a man unarmed by his own shame. The arms that once shoved Mikey out now trembled as they pulled him close. No words had been exchanged after that. The descent from the roof had been quiet, slow. A soft kind of exhaustion had settled in all three of them, Mikey, Kevin, and the man who had once been the loudest presence in Mikey's life. And then, just as suddenly, the coldest absence, back at Kevin's. Mikey didn't ask questions. He didn't want explanations. But a day later, when his father returned, not to fix everything, nothing could be fixed in a single visit, but to try. He came with something in his hand, a small USB stick, plastic casing worn. Mikey recognized it immediately. It had been in his backpack, forgotten, a place he stored rough drafts, poems, thoughts he never meant to show anyone. "I read it all," his father said, voice low, sitting across from him at the kitchen table. Every single file, every note, every word. Mikey didn't look up. He stared at the wood grain of the table, waited for the inevitable twist in tone, the disappointment, the distancing, but it never came. "I didn't know," his father said. "I thought I did. I thought I knew what was best for you, how to raise you, how to protect you. But I was protecting something else, my image, my comfort, my control. Not you." His hands were clasped tightly, the skin on his knuckles pale. "I used to think crying was weakness. That softness made a boy vulnerable. But you were never weak. You were surviving in a house that didn't make room for softness. You bent yourself just to be allowed to stay." Mikey's eyes filled with tears before he could stop them. "You wrote in one of those entries," his father continued, "that you didn't know if you were ever wanted, that maybe you were just an interruption in a life I didn't ask for. And I need you to know that was never true. I just didn't know how to love you the way you needed. I only knew how to fear what I didn't understand." There was no dramatic apology, no grand gesture, just honesty, and that was enough. That week, Mikey didn't move back home. Not yet. His father didn't push. Instead, he visited often, bringing dinner, sometimes books. Once even a pride pin he said he got from some bookstore in town where the staff looked smarter than him. Kevin never stopped being present. He gave Mikey space, but always stayed near reliable, grounding. Sometimes they sat side by side, saying nothing, letting the silence rebuild what noise had broken. Then came a new Sunday morning, when the knock on Kevin's door brought something unexpected. Mikey's father stood outside, wearing a blue flannel and carrying something wrapped in a paper bag. "I know I have no right to ask," he said, but I was wondering if maybe I could hang this outside my porch, and maybe you'd come help me do it." He unwrapped the bag, a rainbow flag, folded neatly, uncreased. Kevin stepped back and looked at Mikey, whose mouth parted slightly in disbelief. His father wasn't trying to erase the past. He was trying to mark the future, and he was asking to do it with him. They went together, hung the flag in front of the porch that had once been a battlefield. His father let Mikey choose where to place it, watched with quiet care as the fabric caught the breeze and stretched toward the sky. Before they left, he said one more thing. "Next time you visit, bring your boyfriend, or your friends, or whoever you love. This house is yours as much as it ever was." Mikey didn't answer with words. He just nodded, his eyes burning. Days passed, then a week, then another knock on Kevin's door. His father stood there again, this time holding something different, an envelope with a sticker that read, "Safe space starts here." "I thought maybe we could put this on the front window," he said. "You know, so no one ever wonders." Mikey took the envelope, peeled back the sticker, and pressed it against the glass beside the door. It was small, barely noticeable from the street, but it meant everything. And then the question came. "Who made this?" Kevin asked. Mikey's father paused, then smiled. "Your mom did," he said. "She sent it in the mail, said she wanted to talk, said she didn't want to miss this part." Mikey's breath caught. She was coming home. Not as an apology, not to revisit the past, but to be part of the healing that had begun. Sometimes an apology isn't spoken from the mouth, it's carried in actions, in presence, in what we choose to stand beside. Acceptance isn't born from perfection. It's born from someone finally deciding to open the door they once slammed shut. The front porch didn't look all that different. The swing still creaked softly in the breeze. The railing still needed a fresh coat of paint. But there behind, hanging above the mailbox, was the rainbow flag, bright, bold, and unmoved by the passing weather. It had been 2 months since the rooftop, and Mikey had returned home. Not out of obligation, but because he chose to. His room had changed, not in decoration, but in energy. Gone were the old posters his father once insisted on, sports teams Mikey never followed. In their place were shelves for his writing journals, a small editing setup, and a wall of pinned ideas, quotes, and clippings about LGBTQ+ youth, healing, and visibility. The sticker from Kevin's house now had a twin. "Safe space starts here" was pressed on the inside of the front door, just above the key rack. Guests saw it when they left, a quiet reminder that some homes were rebuilt from scratch, not brick and beam, but trust and time. His father had done more than just apologize. He had followed through. At Kevin's suggestion, he started attending group therapy for parents of LGBTQ+ teens. The first session, he barely spoke. The second, he cried. By the third, he shared his story about the night he lost his son and the day he nearly lost him forever. He never excused his actions. He simply admitted them. That was the start. Then came the invitation. A local nonprofit was hosting a fundraiser for homeless LGBTQ+ youth, and they asked if Mikey's father would speak. Not as a hero, but as a witness, a reminder of what could be salvaged. He hesitated, then said yes. That night, standing under string lights and beside folding chairs filled with teenagers who looked far too familiar, tight shoulders, guarded eyes, quiet stares, he stepped to the mic and took a breath. The hardest thing I've ever done, he began, wasn't letting go of my beliefs. It was letting go of my son, and I won't make that mistake again. Silence filled the tent, heavy and full. Then applause, and not polite applause, but real, the kind that breaks through something. A video of the speech made its way online. It spread quietly at first, then louder, shared from page to page, picked up by advocacy groups, retweeted by strangers who wrote things like, "My dad never did this, but I wish he had," or "I didn't know parents could change like this." Mikey watched it once, then again, then closed his laptop, opened a blank document, and began writing a new video script. His YouTube channel had been silent since that rooftop upload, but now it had a new name, a name that came from that day he almost gave up. And the moment he chose not to, the roof didn't win. His first video wasn't about coming out. It wasn't even about trauma. It was about forgiveness and the work to figure out own uneven road toward it. He spoke to the camera plainly, like writing a letter to someone who needed to hear what he once couldn't. He told them it was okay to be angry. It was okay to take time, that healing doesn't come in neat packages, but that sometimes when people really try, when they choose to learn and show up and keep showing up, that's a kind of love too. He didn't name his father in that video. He didn't have to. The next video was lighter, then one about writing, then one about fear. One day, a video featured Kevin sitting beside him, both laughing while reacting to old clips they made as kids. The channel grew, quietly, organically, not from drama, but from resonance. Because people didn't need a perfect story, they needed a real one. And then came a letter. It arrived in a plain envelope with no return address. Inside was a sticker, the same kind as the one Mikey had placed on Kevin's door, and his own. "Safe space starts here." Only this one had been hand-lettered. At the bottom of the envelope was a note. "I made this one myself. I'm staying this time. Love, Mom." The next morning, Mikey helped his father place it on the kitchen window. He didn't say much. Neither did his dad. They didn't have to. Some wounds speak loudest in their silence, and some love speaks best through action. That afternoon, while Mikey sat down, camera on, script ready, he looked into the lens, paused, and asked, "If someone who once hurt you came back to make it right, would you let them, or would it be too late?" He didn't answer the question. He left it for the audience to carry. If this story touched something in you, if it reminded you of a person, a memory, or a second chance, subscribe to Heart Story, because every voice matters, and sometimes healing begins with a single story.